Welcome to DU Digimon.
Hello and welcome to DU Digimon and welcome to another video. If you're liking this sort of content, please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel and ding that notification bell so you're not missing out on any of the latest content. Now, the title of this video is a little bit algorithmically misleading, maybe, kind of. I called it the top 10 best cards from EX9. I'm kind of calling this more my favourite, but in terms of titles and algorithm, best seemed like a better choice. So I'm sorry that I have had to, kind of give in to the YouTube algorithmic gods that define every single YouTuber on this humble website. But forgive me. Anyways, these are kind of my top 10 best / favourite cards from EX9 that I wanted to discuss. I've tried to do a mix of stuff which is stuff which is higher rarity, some which is lower rarity, things from across the board. I didn't want to just do kind of all the SRs, for example. I've tried to do as much of a mix as I can. So saying that, I don't actually know if I've gone for any rares. We'll find out as we go on. But starting with our first card is Bomon, the EX9 Bomon. So this is an uncommon, and I'm also giving an honourable mention to Tuskmon. And obviously you'll see all these other cards on here as well. These are just cards I'm looking to discuss alongside with these. But I'm going to mainly stick to Bomon. Now the reason I've gone for Bomon is quite possibly the most accessible raid inheritable that we've ever had. Before Bomon, the only raid inheritable is Gatchmon, but you only get it through your links, so through your Appmon stuff, and Zubamon, where you get it with if you've got a black or a Legend Arms trait Digimon. So as long as your Digimon is black, then you'd be able to get the raid. You could also get stuff through the kind of EX6 raid piercing, kind of thing, where you add something to the Digivolution cards of one of your Digimon with the Legend Arms trait, and essentially that would then get you your raid and piercing, but all of this is costing you, whereas the Bomon costs you nothing at all, and I think that actually has a surprising amount of potential for a lot of decks. Not necessarily to break the meta. A lot of the cards that really benefit from raid have it anyway, but there are some cards that don't. So for example, it could be interesting in a kind of more birds centric one. So obviously Gearmon birds is like the most popular version of birds right now, but you could potentially put this Bomon in there if you wanted to go for a more pure birds one. Like, say for example, Nightmare Scenario, they hit that engine in the ban list, for example, which is a potential. With recent kind of meta showing Gravity Crush kind of being used less, they might shy away from it. I don't want them to shy away from Gravity Crush being banned. Do not get me wrong. I think it absolutely deserves to be banned. It should have got banned alongside a Jack Raid and all that sort of stuff. But if you wanted to hit some other stuff for the Migidramon or that kind of engine, you could potentially hit some of the cards within that engine. I don't know if that'd be something they would do. I think it's more likely that Gravity Crush would get hit, but you never know. So if we went back to a more pure birds build, then this raid inheritable could be quite interesting in that. Another card which I think really benefits from it is Promo Gaiamon. Now, as of today of recording, we've just had the new Gaiamon, from BT22 revealed. And the one thing that this misses, that one has, which is raid, because it's got this wonderful all turn to an attack targets change, trash your opponent's top security card, but you have no way of initiating that target change yourself. You have to be blocked. So if this had collision or raid, it would be perfect, but it doesn't have either of those, which is a real shame. It's got reboot and blocker, which are both great in of itself, but it would have been great to have a raid, and so by using the Bomon, you have a raid inheritable available for it. Is it archetypal? No, but I would argue, and I think I've mentioned before, I would love to make a bigger video on this. I do believe that the game is slowly shifting into a more toolbox oriented kind of playstyle. Yes, we do have our main archetypes, but when you look at stuff like Gearbirds, you look at stuff like Giga Chronicle, some of these decks just appear throughout the meta. They might not always be the best performing decks, but they are some of the ones which are kind of doing well or can surprise people. Are these decks which are kind of like are more using the colors available kind of card pool rather than the archetypes available card pool, which is very interesting. So I really like this Bomon. I think it's got a lot of potential. The training is so-so, whatever. Only DM's going to use the training stuff. But the raid inheritable, now that is something. On to our next card, which is Omnimon Alter S. Now, this is a card I've already explored in a deck profile last week, which was the Omnimon Adventure deck profile, which ultimately was a profile that I think got a bit of mixed reviews. A lot of people could see the advantage of having the inheritables from the Crest Garurumon Ace and the Blitzgreymon Ace, but I think a lot of people also went, hang on, they don't have the adventure trait, you can't search your top end, it's not as consistent. And I completely get that. I even said in the video that I don't think that profile is necessarily better than the normal adventure trait kind of deck. I just wanted to explore with the new cards and have a bit of fun. Which ultimately for me is what I like to do. Also, apologies if you can hear anything in the background. My daughter is currently having story time. Anyways, Omnimon Alter S is a powerhouse of a card, possibly one of the most abusable and powerful cards from this entire set. It is nuts. It DNAs off of a level 6 with blue Digimon and a level 6 red Digimon, irrespective of names, irrespective of traits. It can Digivolve off of a level 6 DM trait for a cost of 5, which is interesting, and as well as off of a green or a red level 6 for a cost of 5. But obviously the main things that make this guy good are its when Digivolving effect and, more importantly, its end of attack. So when Digivolving, if DNA Digivolving, your opponent's effects do not affect this Digimon for the turn. Now, it's only for the turn, but that is everything switched off. And it was errated, because originally it had on the print that it said opponent's Digimon effects, but in the actual card text, it is opponent's effects, plural, all of them. Options, Tamers, Digimon, doesn't matter. Omnimon Alter S can't be affected. Then it also deletes all of their Digimon with the highest level. So any huge things that could be in the way of this guy when he's about to do what he does next, then, really, really good. Then we have its end of attack, which is the really bonkers part of this card, which reads, you may play one card with Greymon in its name or the version 1 trait, and one card with Garurumon or in its name or the version 2 trait from this Digimon's Digivolution cards without paying the costs. And if this effect played, you place this Digimon as your top security card. So this gives you a recovery, and it also lets you play, if you're playing a Greymon or Garurumon, centered DNA build, so Omnimon, the classic EX4 Omnimon Alter S, or the the BT17 Omnimon build, or going to BT22, you can play just any Greymon or Garurumon underneath you. And if you're playing the level 6s, that just enables you to just do a DNA again, so long as you've got another copy of an Omnimon that DNAs in your hand. So that could be going into another copy of Omnimon Alter S. That could be going into the Ace. That could be going into the BT22 one. It's really, really good. Also being able to play out any version 1 or version 2 trait card. There's a lot of utility there. It's just got so much oomph. It's aggressive. It's so good. I mean, especially when you couple that with the inheritables, if this is one has on its name, trash your opponent's top security card. These two War Greymons and this Blitzgreymon have got that. This one's got security tap +1. Can't be redirected, but this Ace here unsuspends. So you can literally, with this guy, if you're playing this in classic Omnimon, and this is where I kind of see this effect being most abusable, is you go into this guy, you swing, you trash, you unsuspend, you then don't use the end of attack, you then swing again, then use the end of attack, put out your 2 level 6s, and then you go into another Omnimon. They've only got 2 security left. You then swing, trash, unsuspend, and then that's all this. It's a 1 card OTK. Granted, there's set up for. I guess it's not a 1 card OTK, but it enables an OTK. Just this card. As long as you have another Omnimon in your hand that DNAs, this 1 card enables an OTK, which is so stupid. I think I talked about this in the Omnimon Adventure build. I find it's really stupid that DNA Digivolution essentially gives rush to the Digimon you go up into. Atmon doesn't do it, for example. The assembly stuff, any sort of on-play stuff, the cross stuff, doesn't. Those all require similar levels of setup. Whereas DNA Digivolution, because it's, I've gone to the trouble of building up 2 stacks. Look at me. When actually that's not the case anymore. The game has gotten to a point where we're so fast that even DNA Digivolution doesn't really take time to set up. I mean, you look at the Omnimon deck, for example. Literally, you can go into your DNA off of 2 level 3s with these guys. So this is an absolutely extraordinarily stupid card. Its one downside is that Omnimon X Antibody can't go on top of it, but that's kind of not the point of the card. If you did want something to go on top of it, Alter B can, because this just needs an Omnimon in name. But frankly, going on top of this is not necessary. This is the end point. This will be the thing that enables you to just clinch the game completely. I mean, if you're playing this in a traditional adventure build, for example, so you've got the Wargreymon Ace and the Metal Garurumon Ace, you play those out. If you've got, the Matt Ishida, Matt and TK in play, they both gain Rush, and then you can just swing with these. Deleting a lowest DP Digimon, gaining immunity effects, bottom decking stuff, playing out something. Could be a level 4, like a Togemon, which is then going to Digivolve into a level 5 and also gain Rush. It's just dumb. It's such a dumb card. And the fact that it's triple colour as well means Wisteria can search it no problem. So it's multi-searchable as well. It's bonkers. And it's got Omnimon in text. So even like the new Gabumon can search it. This is quite possibly, for me, the most stupidly dumb powerful card in this entire set. On to the next one. Okay, and I'm going to try and be a bit quicker, because I went on an Omnimon Alteress rant there. But we're next going to talk about Kaguyamon. And Kaguyamon, for me, as someone who doesn't play Puppets, but knows a lot of people that do, feels like the card that Puppets should have always had as its top end. Or the card that it deserves as its top end. Because it's so good. It's so good. It gives all of your tokens or puppet trait Digimon Alliance and Blocker, so kind of has an effect akin to Mitamamon, where you're giving all of your yellow Digimon barrier. This one gives Alliance and Blocker to your tokens and puppets. Has an alternate effect: when other Digimon are deleted, delete one of your opponent's lowest level Digimon. So that is any Digimon on the board. Just says when other Digimon are deleted, so it could be your opponent's Digimon, it could be your Digimon, whatever, doesn't matter. And then there's an end of turn effect of you may play one level 4 or lower puppet trait Digimon card from your trash without paying the cost. So this is dumb. Yes, it doesn't play tokens, which is very much kind of like, it's been Sendril's thing, but the fact it's flooding the board is really good. I mean, this is just a really fantastic top end. I mean, if we compare it to the existing top end, as well as also the new top end stuff coming for Sendrilmon, it just feels so much stronger. I mean, granted, this was a structure deck card. Plays 2 familiar tokens, blocker, overclock, cool. Start of your main phase, you may play 1 familiar token. On deletion, when attacking, do the -6 thing. That's the overclock, also cool. And then the new one, overclock, again, plays out a token on play when digivolving. All turns when any of your Digimon are deleted, you may activate one of the digivolving effects to play out another token. This Kaguyamon just feels so much better than these 3 Centralmon, in my opinion. This absolutely feels like the top end that the deck needed. And giving Alliance and Blocker to all of your tokens and puppets, bearing in mind you're playing out as much as you do, is really, really exceptional. It's got removal as well. It's just, it feels like the moment you have this on the board, especially assuming, you have got, rush capabilities in the puppet deck, you've got so much swarming potential, giving your whole board Alliance and Blocker with just this one card is really phenomenal. And then you've also got the rest of the line as well. Stopping attacks, with the inheritables of these two. We have the protection effect with the Karakurimon. When this Digimon would leave the battle area, other than by your effects, by deleting one of your tokens or the puppet trait Digimon, it doesn't leave. And then that then triggers the effect of the Kaguyamon. Yeah, Kaguyamon is absolutely the top end Digimon that the puppets needed, and is frankly kind of frightening. Next. Now this one's a bit of a cop-out. This is technically our 4th and 5th card. I had to talk about Metal Greymon Alteris mode and Weregarurumon Sagittarius mode, because essentially these are the same cards, so kind of a cop-out. I mean, they are and they're not the same card. They serve the same function in a lot of ways, but slightly differently. So both of them have an on-play and when digivolving. Alteris mode deletes an 8k or less, and Sagittarius mode will stop one of your opponent's Digimon from suspending. Both of them then have very similar your turn effects. So I'm going to read one of them out and just flip the names, essentially. So Alteris mode is when any of your Digimon or Tamers with Garurumon or Taikimira in their name are played, or any of your Digimon digivolve into a Digimon with Garurumon in its name. This Digimon may digivolve into a Digimon card with Greymon in its name in the hand without paying the cost. And then Sagittarius mode does the same thing, just it's Greymons instead of Garurumons and Mats instead of Ties. Then also has a 4000 DP inheritable, and then the Sagittarius mode de-digivolves one of your opponent's Digimon when you're attacking. These two are nuts. Obviously, they help adventure. They're both adventure traded, so that's really cool. They can go up into the War Greymon Ace, the Metal Garurumon Ace. They can go into Blitz Greymon Ace if you're playing janky Omnimon adventure builds that, you know, people don't see merit in. You know, stuff like that. Or how about, because of the way they're worded, they just go into every level 6 corresponding coloured Greymon or Garurumon in the whole game. Yeah, it's just literally these two could you know, they're so stupid. Just by playing out like, if you're playing Greymon, just by playing out a tie, you can go up into any Greymon you like for free. Sagittarius mode, same thing. In any deck where you're playing both of these, so Omnimon Alter S, or dare I say Omnimon. I mean, you could potentially play these in Omnimon. I have been testing out with these two in the actual Omnimon build, which is interesting, kind of giving the decks a level 5. I found the Alteris mode worked a little bit better in terms of the kind of the cohesiveness, just because it can digivolve on top of any Greymon, whereas Sagittarius mode can't, so you can still play the BT17 Greymon and put this on the top. But no, I think these guys breathe a whole new, fresh bit of air into Greymon builds and your Garurumon builds. Yes, technically speaking, stuff like Metal Greymon X does a very similar job to the Alteris mode, and you don't get unsuspend to the Sagittarius mode, you know, whatever. But in terms of efficiency, the fact they go so cheaply up into your level 6s just by playing out a Tamer, you know, is really, really cool to me. And like I say, you've got literally the whole card pool of stuff they can go up into that has Greymons or Garurumons in names, and you could just do it, you know, for free. I mean, this is every available card that I could think of that these guys could digivolve into, you know. Granted, a lot of these you wouldn't. I mean, who the fuck's going into BT5 Zeke Greymon anymore? But, you know, everything else on here, well, not everything, a lot of other things on here. War Greymon promo, that's dumb. Black War Greymon would be dumb. The Gaiamon stuff, dumb. You know, like the Gaiamon stuff, especially that Alteris mode. I think that Alteris mode is the other level 5 you use in the BT22 build. The actual BT22 Gaiamon, I don't think is on Digimon Card Builder yet, because it literally was today that got. Yeah, it's not. Literally was today that got. Unless it's in the BT22 section, maybe. No, it's not. But that one, you'd obviously use the Rise Greymon as one of your level 5s potentially. But I think the Alteris mode is another great shout. You know, yes, you'd have to be a bit more tie focused. So maybe not, I don't know. But I think it'd be a good shout. I think it'd be really cool. But I love these two. I think they're fantastic. Let's move on. Next is Abadomon Core, or Abadomon. Abadomon sounds better. I'm going to go with Abadomon. Abadomon Core has all of the keywords. Like this looked at Examon from BT20 and just went, hold my beer, because I've got 5 keywords, bitch. And even more interestingly is the fact that this is, I think, the first card in the game that not only has a when digivolving, not only has a when attacking, but also has a when moving. Because essentially you can place this card into your breeding area via the Abadomon level 6. End of all turns by placing one level 6 or lower card with... Oh no, what is it? There it is. On play when digivolving, if there are 4 or more total Negamon in your trash and your Digimon's Digivolution card and your Digimon's Digivolution cards, you may play Abadomon Core from your hand or trash to your empty breeding area without paying the cost. So, you know, as long as you've got enough of your Negamons in the trash, and under your sources, then you could just place the core into the breeding area. So that means you kind of the turtle shell this big level 7 that's then going to come out, and by places 3 level 6 or lower Digimon cards with Negamon in their text from your trash as this Digimon's top Digivolution cards, delete all of your opponent's lowest level Digimon, which is dumb. And it's not once per turn either. So if you Digivolve into it, it goes off, and then you attack, goes off. If you move, goes off. If you attack, goes off. So you're using that effect twice per turn, which is really, really really dumb. Has a breeding effect too. When one of your opponent's Digimon attacks by returning 4 Negamon from your trash or your Digimon's Digivolution cards to the bottom of the Digi-Egg deck, this Digimon moves to the battle area. So it is a frankly terrifying card. I mean, it definitely goes into the same kind of category as stuff like Royal Knights and Seven Great Demon Lords, these kind of turtle shell decks that hide in the breeding for ages until they're ready to just pop off. You know, and it's just nuts. You know, the egg even does it. The Negamon egg. Just, you may play one Digimon card with Negamon in its text from your hand, with the play cost reduced by 2, for each Negamon in your trash or your Digimon's Digivolution cards, further reduce it by 1, then place this Digimon as the played Digimon's bottom Digivolution card. So, you know, I think this is a really spooky level 7. It is somewhat of a shame it's not more generic. I did want to look into whether or not you could use this in Diaboromon, because it has the unidentified trait, but unfortunately, with all of its effects being very Negamon kind of centric, just wasn't going to happen. So that is that really. But yeah, Abadomon Core, bonkers card, really bonkers. Next, I wanted to talk about, again, technically 2 cards, Hydramon and Cernumon. These 2 give the Wind Guardians deck purpose. When we first saw the Wind Guardians cards, they were useless. They couldn't really do much at all. Now, at least, they have a level 6 that initiates a DNA, much like the Plesiomon and the Myotismon that came before in the other field decks, and the oh god, I play NSP. It's right in front of me. NSP is literally right in front of me. What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? What's your name? Big black turtle boy. Whoop. Eldradimon. Eldradimon. That's his name. That shows how long I've not played NSP for. Jesus. But yeah, really, really good. You know, has some suspension shenanigans, stuff like that. But that being able to initiate the DNA is just really nice. Also reduces its cost as well, so long as you've got a WG trait Digimon that you can suspend. So that's nice. And then the Cernumon just gives the deck a little bit of lift. Yeah, it's still not really going to be like breaking the meta anytime soon, but it just gives the deck a point. And that's good enough for me. Like, I think, especially from my perspective of someone who puts deck profiles out on the internet, I think a lot of people seem to just get hung up with decks only being fun if they're good. And that's wrong for me. You know, decks don't have to be meta relevant to be fun. Decks can just be fun. They don't have to be breaking the meta to be fun. You know, sometimes you just get that impression. You know, it's always hard to read off of comments and stuff like that, but you get that impression off of some people where it's like, this deck only has worth if it's good. It's only got worth if it's meta relevant. You know, I don't know. Maybe it's from my perspective as someone that used to come from Yu-Gi-Oh! And no deck was fun in Yu-Gi-Oh! Sorry, Yu-Gi-Oh! Players. Truth is harsh. You know, the Cernumon just gives the deck the lift it needs. You know, you play out a level 7 or lower cost WG trait Digimon from your hand without paying the cost as part of the when Digivolving effect, and then if you're DNA Digivolving, you may return up to 2 of your opponent's Digimon to the bottom of the deck. So clearing 2 bodies off the board straight to the bottom of the deck, really good, whilst also playing out a body of yourself, which is nice. Get the Alliance as well. You know, so that's great. You do get Vortex in this deck as well, with one of your options. Then it's also got this kind of, you know, when any of your WG trait Digimon would leave the battle area other than in battle, you may play one play cost 7 or lower WG trait Digimon card from your hand without paying the cost. So if something leaves, you can just kind of play something out. It's got the same timing, I think, as when any of your Digimon trait would leave. Yeah, same timing as our Courage United. So even if the Cernumon were to leave, you can then play out another body, so you can kind of keep that ball rolling. And if it's 7 play cost or lower, that could be a level 5, that could be an ace target for your Puppetmon ace. So I think this is a really good card and gives the general lift for the deck. You know, like I say, this isn't necessarily the best cards in terms of the meta relevancy, but in terms of their functionality and kind of their placement within their individual decks, that's kind of where I'm going off of, and really what my favourites are. Next, going back to just a regular common uncommon card, Anjimon. I just really like this Anjimon. On play when Digivolving, you place 1 Digimon card in your hand face down as this Digimon's bottom Digivolution card, and give one of your opponent's Digimon security tap -1 and 3000 DP until their turn ends. Obviously, you need to have something in your hand to do that, but that is a really cool effect. And even better is this on deletion inheritable. If you have 3 or fewer security cards, recovery +1. So, you know, I really like both of these effects for 2 different decks in particular. Obviously, Angels. You know, if you've got that, you know, recovery on deletion, you've got blocker on everything from underneath the Magna Anjimon, for example. You've got the Dominimon here playing it out. That gives you a way of recovering in the security after you've played out something with the Dominimon. Security tap minusing something as well. Really nice. And I think the Mitamamon Kentorismon build could also use the Anjimon. You know, these guys do often go beyond or below 3 or fewer security. So, you know, having this to give you an extra recovery if one of these dies, especially the Mitamamon, because the Mitamamon is just deletion bait. The moment Mitamamon is on the board, all your opponent wants to do is kill this with fire. So I think this Anjimon is something that could potentially give a really interesting lift to a lot of different yellow builds. But in particular, Anjimon and Kentorismon / Mitamamon. And of course, we haven't mentioned the secret rares yet, so let's move on to our first secret rare, which of course is Machine Drummond. Machine Drummond was the first secret rare that was revealed for the set, and I think in general, this card is a really big facelift for the deck, for whether you're playing more of a version 5 DM focused deck, or if you're playing the kind of traditional Machine Drummond stuff. If anything, in the traditional Machine Drummond stuff, it kind of gets a lot more utility. Its on play when digivolving when attacking effect is by placing 1 level 5 cyborg or version 5 trait card from your hand or trash as this Digimon's top Digivolution card, activate 1 on play effect on the placed card as an effect of this Digimon. So any level 5 cyborg in the game, you can use the on play of it. Any of your version 5 trait level 5s as well, you can use their on plays. So for the version 5s, that's kind of limiting. So you've got Datamon as of BT22, you've got the X Tyrannomon from the set, you've got the Metal Tyrannomon, and that's it. But if you're going level 5 cyborg, I mean, just look at how many potential things that is. Granted, obviously, it has to have an on play. But you've got so much stuff. You've got obviously more of the stuff from the EX9, so stuff like the Metal Greymon, stuff like the Andromon is great. You've got stuff like what else has got a really nice up play? Cyberdramon Ace, reveal top 5, play a black tamer out, so play out your analog men, for example. You've got stuff like the Metal Tyrannomon from EX8, de-digital something and give yourself protection. Just so much stuff you could play out, you know. And on top of that as well, when this Digimon would leave the battle area by trashing its bottom 2 face down or cyborg trait Digivolution cards, it doesn't leave. So that is, it's got a protection effect as well. This guy just kind of 8 extra sets later kind of replaces EX1 Machine Drummond, who has been a long-standing veteran of the card game. I think you potentially still both play them in the deck. I'm not a Machine Drummond player myself. The only Machine Drummond deck I've ever played is a Pauper format version, you know, which this definitely would not be in. But I think this card is great. It's also got assembly, which I should have talked about in Abadomon, because Abadomon's also got assembly. But being able to put 4 level 5 cyborgs underneath it to make this a 6 play cost is really nice. I mean, especially seeming, you know, if you've got Attack of the Heavy Mobile Digimon, give Russian Blitz, you know, then all of a sudden this Machine Drummond, you can play it out for only 6 cost, and there you go. Off you go to the races, do your thing, on play, you know. Is somewhat, I think what would tip it over the edge into absolute brokenness is if that on play when digivolving when attacking was not once per turn. But obviously for very obvious reasons, I can see why it's once per turn. You know, but I think this Machine Drummond is absolutely fantastic. There's just so much stuff you can play with it. I mean, that's not got on play, to be fair. So, you know, so obviously only the stuff with on plays is going to be useful for it, but just there's so much stuff you could put under it, man. Like, it's really cool. Awesome card. And our last card to talk about is our other secret rare, which is Chimeramon. Chimeramon is a little bit more kind of focused on the DM side of things, but I think it's still an extraordinarily cool card. You know, rush and security tap +1 as keywords, has the on play and when digivolving effect of you may place one level 4 or lower DM trait Digimon card from your trash as this Digimon's top Digivolution card, then delete one of your opponent's Digimon with the same colour as any of this Digimon's Digivolution cards. And if this Digimon has 6 or more colours in its Digivolution cards, instead delete one of each of your opponent's Digimon with different colours. This might be, bearing in mind we're not even done yet, the most overpowered level 5 the game has ever seen. It's so dumb. The only level 5s I think that could potentially match it are stuff like the Lucamon things, for example, so it's like the Lucamon Chaos modes. This guy is just nuts. He also gains 1000 DP for each colour in its Digivolution cards, and then it also has Assembly, and it's got the biggest Assembly reduction of any card we've seen in the game thus far. It's got 7 level 4 DM trait Digimon cards with different names. When this would be played, by placing the specified cards from the trash under it, reduce the play cost, and that's by 7 level 4 DM trait cards. And these are all of the cards that you could potentially play that are level 4 DMs, including Skullgreymon, who is level 5 but has the rule text of being treated as a level 4 for Chimeramon's Assembly. So you've got so many different inheritables that you can get from this. You've got DP boosts, you've got raid, you've got jamming, you've got barrier, you've got recovery, you've got DP minuses, more DP minuses, suspending, piercing, suspending, blocker, 3 times, de-digivolve, draw 1, trash 1, retaliation. It's so good. It's such a cool card. It's a shame almost that it's not generic in the way that BT8 Chimeramon was, but with how absolutely stacked of a card it is, you know, this is phenomenal. This is not a bait or busted. I actually was struggling to do a single card for bait or busted, which is why I ultimately settled on doing this kind of more top 10 cards kind of video. But this is busted. This is busted, absolutely busted. You know, just being able to assembly this, play it out for 3 cost. It's got rush. It's potentially deleted 6 things off of the board, so long as let's say they were all different colours. They probably wouldn't have been, but saying that, a lot of decks are dual color now, so you're almost guaranteed to be deleting maybe 2 bodies off the board, so that's not bad. Gains a lot of DP. It's got the sec minus, the rush. Again, you've played it out for 3 cost, the same cost as the average rookie. Yeah, this card is awesome. But yeah, that is the list, if you will, guys. What cards are you guys looking forward to in EX9? Obviously the set is coming out this week, so I hope you guys are really looking forward to it. I am, to an extent. I'm not as excited for it as I am for BT22, hence why my deck profiles are going to be probably fairly sporadic over the next few weeks, because I just don't know what decks I want to build. I've basically done an Omnimon adventure. I might do a more classic adventure build. I've done a Greymon one. I don't really know what else I'd do. Maybe a version 1, version 2 trait build. I might look at doing that, because I'm getting a lot of the top end for that, because I'm mostly buying singles for EX9, I will be honest. Though, of course, you should support the official release. But gamble responsibly. And, yeah, so I'm not too sure what other kind of things I'll be doing over the next few weeks. I don't even know what other video I'm going to do this week, I'll be honest. I was potentially thinking maybe a BT22 video like this one, where I'm looking more at the decks I'm going to build in BT22 rather than specific cards, because obviously we've not had all the cards from BT22 revealed yet. Or I might see if one of the guys has got a deck profile, but I know a lot of them are waiting until the official cards are out to get playing with them, unlike me, who is cutting down the Amazon. But with proxies, might I say, not literally. But anyways, I'm rambling. This video is probably going to be way longer than it should have been. Like, subscribe, ding that notification bell, and I hope you guys are looking forward to EX9. But until the next video, keep it digital.